Welcome everyone to this news conference today on July 10th, 2017. I have at our table here Kate Boyle. Kate is a lawyer who works in our office. Everybody knows Jeremy Miller, and Marie, and Sheila McLean White. So we'll go through a PowerPoint and we will take questions. At the end of the PowerPoint, you can hold your questions until that time. Over 27 years ago, Clayton Miller, a 17-year-old boy from the Waterford, Breton, was last seen by his parents, Marie and Jeremy Miller. The evening of Friday, May 4th, 1990. That evening, between 40 and 60 Waterford teens, including Clayton, gathered at an outdoor party at the Nest, a popular teen hangout, out in the Colliery Lands Park in Waterford. Sometime before 10 p.m., at least 6 members of the Waterford Police Department raided the party, arresting approximately 10 people in total. Over 36 hours later, on Sunday, May 6, 1990, Clayton's body was found face down in a shallow stream by the Nest. He was wearing this photo of Clayton in the back board, if you wish to have a look at that or take a picture of it later. This press conference has been called to disclose a major development in the Clayton Miller case that only came to light in the past few months. The new information has to do with events that took place on Saturday, May 5th, 1990, not before documented in records or considered in investigations related to this case. Following presentation, we'll briefly review the known facts, the witness statements and testimony of individuals who returned to the Nest and surrounding area on Saturday, May 5th, 1990. In fact, some of the individuals state they'd returned to the exact area where Clayton's body was found the next day on May 6, 1990. And finally, we'll talk in a series of video clips the statement of Bryan McDonald, who provides information not disclosed in this case until today. Notwithstanding an inquiry and subsequent investigation into the Clayton Miller case, there has been an adequate explanation provided to where Clayton Miller's body was on Saturday, May 5th, 1990, and/or why individuals who returned passed through and were actively searching the area where his body was found on Sunday, May 6th, did not stumble across it. So the facts known, to set the background, which is important to know, the facts on Friday, May 4th, 1990, at approximately 5:45 p.m., Clayton is last seen by his parents, Marie and Jeremy Miller, heading out after dinner to hang with friends. 7:15 to 8 p.m. on May 4th, a Friday evening, Clayton and his friends, Dale McKinnon and Billy Brusher, share approximately half a 40-ounce bottle of liquor belonging to Dale's older brother, Bryan. At 8 p.m., Clayton, Dale, and possibly Billy head to the Nest, a popular teen hangout, where a party was taking place that evening, a few minutes away. At 8:30 to 8:45, Clayton and Dale are seen walking away from the Nest near the Park Street by multiple witnesses. Sometime around 10 to 10:30 p.m., the time of the raid has always been in dispute. At least 6 officers in the Waterford Police Department raided the Nest. Teens, possibly including Clayton, scatter in a panic. 10 people are taken into custody and brought to the police station. 2 days later, on Sunday, May 6, 1990, around 9 a.m., Dale McKinnon goes to the nest. As they haven't found Clayton, Gordon tells Dale to go to the nest to look for Clayton. This is redacted from the RCMP timeline. Gordon is Dale's older brother. Around 12 p.m., Dale calls Billy Brushett to go to the nest and look around. Between 1 and 1:30 p.m. on May 6, Sunday, 1990, Clayton Miller's body is found by Dale McKinnon and Billy Brushett east from the large concrete culvert. The exact distance is in dispute. And northeast from the fire at the center of the party. His body was laying across an ankle-deep stream by the nest, face down. Clayton was wearing a bright red sweatshirt. At 1:50 p.m., the Waterford police are called. At 2 p.m. onwards, the Millers are notified and they arrive at the scene. The scene is not cordoned off or preserved. Not a single photograph of the body is taken before it being removed from the stream. This is a sketch showing points of interest in the area where Clayton Miller was found off Park Street near the nest in the Waterford, Cape Breton. This photo originated in the CERT report of April 2015. As the map indicates, the point are labeled as positions provided by Jervy Miller on July 5th, 2015. So the map is from CERT. The markings that appear are from the comments of Jervy Miller, and it is prepared by a surveyor, and you'll see the points of interest are A, Clayton's body found in this location, location B being the location of the fire. This is the location of the nest, or of the culvert. 4 police are reported to have come in here on Friday night, and 2 from this direction. So the autopsy reports do not provide a time of death. The coroner, Dr. Roach, notes registration of death as Friday, May 4th, 1990, which means Clayton was dead before midnight when it turned over to May 5th, Saturday. The RCMP alcohol expert, Dr. Weston Brink, states at page 59 and 63 of the inquiry testimony that by his calculations, the time of death would have been at within an hour and a half of 10:30 p.m., which would make it either 11:30 or 12 o'clock on the evening of Friday, May 4th. When the Millers arrived at the hospital with Clayton's body shortly before 3 p.m. on Sunday, May 6th, Dr. Stevens estimated Clayton had been dead for approximately 36 hours, which means approximately 3 a.m. Saturday, May 5th, which would put between the experts finding the time of death between 11 on May 4th or 3 a.m. in the morning on May 5th. Before reviewing witness statements and testimony of individuals present at the nest and surrounding area on Saturday, May 5th, I will note that previous investigations into this case have concluded that there is no reliable evidence capable of supporting the conclusion that Clayton Miller's body was not present in the stream on May 5th, 1990. Instead, it was found that the best evidence suggests no one was in a position to see the body on that day. The conclusion in the report states that that conclusion is not accepted by some. And it would give you no surprise that a lot of those people are in this room. We will review some of the evidence as it provides context and narrative to the various people present in the area when Clayton Miller's body was found the next day, Sunday, May 6, 1990.
So Gerald Cody was at the party at the Nest on Friday, May 4th. On Saturday, May 5th, 1990, Gerald returned to the Nest with his friend Baxter Thorne and walked up and down the brook looking for beer they'd left there the night before. Both Baxter Thorne and Gerald Cody have maintained that on May 5th, 1990, they went to the Nest, traveled along the stream to the place where Clayton Miller's body was found, and his body was not there. The following video is an excerpt from a CBC video taken in 1991, in which Gerald describes his activities near the Nest on Saturday, May 5th, 1990. It also provides a little background to the case.
Last May, in New Waterford, Cape Breton, the body of a local teenager was found face down in a brook. An inquiry found that there had been no culpable negligence in the death of Clayton Miller. But the boy's parents believed the truth wasn't revealed. They've reached their own conclusion about how their son died. Jim Gray reports.
The police were there. There were some people standing around. I went down the hill, went over by the brook, and when I seen him, I started to cry.
On Sunday, May 6th, Gervais Miller found his only son dead. Clayton Miller was 17 years old. 2 nights before his body was discovered, Clayton Miller had gone to a teenage drinking party. It took place near New Waterford's Collierylands Park, in an area known as the Nest. According to later testimony, at around 10 o'clock, 6 town police officers raided the party, 4 of them on foot, 1 driving a patrol car, and 1 a paddy wagon. When the police arrived, more than 50 kids scattered, Clayton Miller among them. But then he disappeared. What happened to Clayton Miller next remains a matter of rumor and speculation in New Waterford, but it is certain that late Friday night or early Saturday morning, he died. Although his body was discovered only about 75 meters from the scene of the drinking party, it wasn't located until Sunday afternoon, more than 39 hours after the police raid. Maureen and Gervais Miller were called to the scene where they saw the corpse of their son lying face down in a brook.
And that's something I will never forget. The position his body was in and the condition his body was in. The bruising and the way his arms were, one behind his back and the other with his head up in the air like that there.
The autopsy report on Clayton Miller states there was no notable bruising. Miller's blood alcohol content was 120 milligrams of alcohol in 100 milliliters of blood, 50% higher than the legal limit for driving. Some witnesses at the party say Miller was very drunk. Others say that he didn't appear drunk at all. Whatever the case, Miller had been dead for a full day and a half before he was found by 2 friends, Dale McKinnon and Billy Brushett. Brushett says you could see the body a long way off.
Yeah, you can see the temple. You wouldn't miss him.
There's no way you could miss him.
No way.
Last fall, a judicial inquiry under Judge Hughes Randall ruled there was no culpable negligence in the death of Clayton Miller. There was no water in Miller's lungs. The pathologist found that he died of dry drowning. That occurs when the entry of cold water into the oral cavity causes a spasm of the larynx, preventing breathing and causing death. But one question just doesn't go away, even if you accept the theory that Clayton Miller simply fell into the brook and died accidentally. Could Miller, clad in a red sweater and easily spotted in the brook, have gone unseen for so long?
So I would say it's impossible. With the people that were up in that area, and the policeman that admitted under testimony that he walked down that brook roughly the length of their bungalow from Clayton's body and didn't see anything, would more or less prove Clayton wasn't there. Yet at the same time, he died roughly Friday night or early Saturday morning. Where was his body all this time?
Gerald Cody went with us to the place where Clayton Miller's body was found. Cody was at the party that Friday night. He spoke with Miller briefly, then never saw him again. During the police raid, Cody was arrested for intoxication, although he denies he was drunk. He was placed in a jail cell in the New Waterford police station, then released later that night. Cody says the next day, Saturday, he and a friend went back to the scene of the raid to look for a case of beer they had stashed in a culvert when the police arrived. The culvert is located only a short distance down the brook from where the body of Clayton Miller was found. If Miller had been there, says Cody, he would have seen him.
Joe, here's where Clayton's body was found.
Yeah?
Right there. I want to make sure I understand. You walked right by here on Saturday?
In the bed, yeah.
And you didn't see?
No, we were tripped over. It was impossible. He was not here Saturday. Go down there more.
Gerald Cody wasn't called to testify at the inquiry into Miller's death. He was in Toronto, working. Cody told New Waterford Police Chief Doug Crowe that he would return to Nova Scotia and testify if called. But the Crown Attorney never summoned Cody, likely because of Cody's statement to a New Waterford police sergeant the day after Miller's body was found. In the statement, Cody says that he and his friend didn't go looking for their beer until 5:30 in the afternoon Saturday. But Cody maintains he said no such thing, that he told the sergeant that they went on the search between 12 noon and 1 o'clock.
The statement also says that the sergeant asked you if, when you were at the brook, if you looked back down towards Park Street, which meant you would have seen Clayton's body had it been there, and that your response to that question was no.
Well, that's wrong, dude. We were down in it. We were down right in the brook.
The next witness statement is from Baxter Thorne. Baxter Thorne was also at the party at the Nest on Friday, May 4th. He accompanied Gerald Cody to search for their beer in the brook on Saturday, May 5th. After providing the Millers with a written statement, Baxter Thorne provided this affidavit to the Millers on October 17th, 2000. The statement is quite small, so I'll go over the highlighted portions of it. It essentially outlines that who's making the statement, Baxter Thorne. He states that Gerald Cody and I went to a party at the Nest on May 4th, and we brought a case of beer to share. The second paragraph states that we were having a beer when police arrived, that everyone scattered everywhere, and I didn't see Gerald again until a couple hours later. The third paragraph states that Gerald and I got a buddy to drive us up to the Nest the next day, that being Saturday, May 5th, to get our beer because Gerald had left it in the brook. He describes at the fourth paragraph that he let us off at Tucker's Field, and we went to the culvert by the brook where Gerald had left the beer, but all they found was the empty box. Paragraph 5 and 6 state that we decided to take a walk down the brook to see if the beer had floated down the brook. We walked down the brook and we didn't find any beer, so we went back the exact way we went down. We climbed up the bank at the culvert and then crossed over the culvert. That when I found out where Clayton's body was found, I thought there's no way, that's impossible. We were right there where the body was. We would have tripped over him. There was no body there on Saturday. As you can see, this statement was provided on the 17th of October, 2000. The next witness we have here today, it's Sheila McLean White at the end of the table. Sheila provided the following statements to the Millers in June of 1991. She's got a cold today, so I'm going to go over her statements that she's provided about Saturday, May 5th and Sunday, May 6th, that she was at the area of the Nest on both of those days. Her statement from Saturday, May 5th, I'll paraphrase the beginning. Sheila discusses that the Nest had gotten raided the night before and that she went down there for a walk and to see if anything was left there from the night before. She went around 11 to 1 in the afternoon. She was with two friends and a friend's daughter. Sheila notes that the three of us were walking around down at the Nest when Aileen's little girl started to run toward the ditch. So I started running after her. When I caught up to Tiffany, we had stood there looking over the side of the bank. Sheila notes Clayton's body was not there in the brook. It was just a few trees with no leaves and a brook. She states at the end of that statement of Saturday, May 5th, if Clayton's body had been there on Saturday, May 5th, 1990, I would have noticed it. And Sheila was again returned to the nest and that same area on Sunday, May 6th, 1990, so she saw where Clayton's body was found. She describes in her statement of Sunday, May 6th, that she was at her friend's place and they received a call that a body had been found. They went down through the woods to the nest and saw that there was multiple people gathering there. She states, when I got to where the nest is, she saw the town police and ambulance. Her statement at the bottom describes that there were multiple people there. She states, we were all looking down at Clayton's body and the way it was positioned in the brook. Clayton was face down in the brook with one hand behind his back and the other hand was in front of his face. Daniel Perfect was another individual who provided a statement about him being at the nest on Friday, May 4th, and then having returned on Saturday, May 5th. On Saturday, May 5th, Danny and his friend Thomas Brule returned to the nest and surrounding area to search for discarded bottles and cans to return for money. He describes that they walked around and through the brook. In his statement, he states that they followed the stream at the base of the embankment, approximately 30 meters from the end of Park Street. They searched until they reached a pond next to the nest, and they then traveled back along the embankment. Danny provided statements to Wagner's on May 1st of this year. Danny also advised that the RCMP had interviewed him a couple years after the death of Clayton. He had also made a video statement to RCMP, who made him retrace his steps of where he was on May 5th, 1990. He has not seen this video, and although he authorized Wagner's to request it from the RCMP, our attempts via a FOIPOP to obtain any video of an interview with Danny Perfect have been unsuccessful. So I'll read a portion of Danny's statement. He basically says that they went back to the nest and they were searching for discarded bottles of alcohol and empty beer bottles. He said, walking toward the nest on the right-hand side is an embankment that varies in steepness and height as you continue walking. During a raid, and if you were near this embankment, this is a popular place to hide from the police or throw your alcohol. As police officers have proved in the past, they are unwilling to venture into this area. Mr. Brule and I began our search for discarded bottles and alcohol at the base of this embankment and surrounding area, approximately 30 meters from the end of Park Street. He says, there is a shallow stream that we walked in and around and through during our gathering process. There was one male, that approximately 40 years of age, walking in the opposite direction along the embankment's edge. He was also carrying a large bag, and both he and Mr. Brule assumed that he was also there for the reason that they were. Mr. Perfect states, once we gathered a sufficient amount of alcohol and empty bottles, we left the area, traveling back along the embankment. But this time we walked along its edge until we met Park Street. At no time, while walking up, through, and along the stream towards the nest, did I see the body of Clayton Miller or the body of any other individual. Furthermore, during our walk back along the embankment's edge towards Park Street, I did not see the body of Clayton Miller.
Constable Darren Drenoff was a member of the Waterford Police Department in May of 1990. Constable Drenoff was not at the raid as he had gotten off shift at 8 p.m. Friday evening. However, he returned to the nest while on duty the next day, Saturday, May 5th, 1990, to look for alcohol left behind. The purpose of the inclusion of Constable Drenoff's evidence for purposes of this press conference is to demonstrate that there was another individual at the nest and surrounding area on Saturday, May 5th, 1990, who did not observe Clayton's body. For a follow-up investigation report at the New Waterford Police Department, Constable Drenoff states that approximately 6:40 p.m. in the evening of Saturday, May 5th, 1990, he got out of his police car at the nest and walked along the stream in an easterly direction. He states, "I was on car patrol by myself. I went to the same place that I had taken Constable Muse to this afternoon. I got out of the police car and walked down the side of the bank. I walked about 100 feet in an easterly direction, checking the brushes as I went along the stream." Constable Drenoff also testified at the fatality inquiry held in the fall of 1990 that he walked about 100 feet down the stream from the culvert near the nest, but did not see Clayton Miller's body. I note that specific portions of his testimony have been extracted for the purposes of this conference. For reference, the pages for which the testimony arises in the fatality inquiry from the fall of 1990 are located at the top left of the text. On page 78, during direct examination, Constable Drenoff is questioned about working the 2 to 10 shift on Saturday, May 5th. He describes he returned to the nest with Constable Muse at approximately 3:15 p.m. He testifies that at that time, neither he nor Constable Muse got out of the police car. He testifies he was not aware at that time that Clayton Miller was missing. He testifies he did not observe anything when looking down in the culvert area, but that he and Constable Muse were there for approximately 2 minutes. When asked whether he returned to the nest that evening, he states, "After 7 p.m.?" and answers he and Constable Muse did not return. However, on cross-examination, at page 86 of the inquiry testimony, Constable Drenoff is again asked whether he had any occasion to be in the area of the colliery, lands, park, or in the vicinity around the nest. He responds, answer, "Yes, once, when myself and Constable Muse drove through there with the police car." Question, "Other than that?" Answer, "No." The cross-examiner then clarifies if Constable Drenoff was referring to the time he had previously referred to on direct examination, when he was there in the afternoon of Saturday, and he responds, "Yes, it was." At page 89 of the transcript, Constable Drenoff has also recalled, and had been recalled to the stand, and Mr. Broderick, who was acting for the New Waterford Police Department, who had examined him in direct examination, previously states, quote, "Okay, now let me, as you specifically, did you at any time after you were there with Constable Muse and before the body was found, return to the area of the culvert that you pointed out in photograph 18? Answer, yes. Question, and when did you return there? Answer, that was the 5th of May, Saturday at approximately 6:40 p.m., the day after the trial, the day after the raid on the nest. That, on cross-examination on that point, Constable Drenoff is asked whether he had any observation of Miller's body in the brook, to which he responds, "No, I did not." He also describes getting out of his car, looking around, going down the brook, and states, "I walked in an easterly direction approximately 100 feet. Again, he confirms that he did not see the body of Clayton Miller. The involvement of the Cape Breton search and rescue in the search of Clayton Miller on Saturday, bear with me for a moment while the picture catches up to me. The involvement of Cape Breton search and rescue in the search of Clayton Miller on Saturday, May 5th, has not been officially documented in police records or previously considered in investigations into Clayton Miller's case. Bryan Miller was a search coordinator of the Cape Breton ground search and rescue carried out in the afternoon of Saturday, May 5th, 1990, in the search for Clayton Miller at the Colliery Lands Park in Waterford. Mr. McDonald's son had contacted Maureen requesting his father's involvement in that search, or regarding, his father's involvement in that search, who conveyed this information to Wagner's. I then contacted Mr. McDonald to hear his account and obtained a video statement of his involvement in this case earlier this year. His credentials are listed here. Notably, Mr. McDonald has been a member of the Cape Breton Search and Rescue since December of 1979. He was involved in the training, instructing of ground search and rescue over the years, including being involved in the Department of Probationary Searcher Training, instructor for the Department of Natural Resources, trainer and hunter education, participation in the Department of Justice Program, FAC, instructed by the Chief Provincial Firearms Officer. Commencing in and about 1985, Mr. McDonald became a member of the Association for Instructors in Nova Scotia. He became president of all instructors in the province of Nova Scotia, training officer and president of the Cape Breton Ground Search and Rescue. So now I want to show you a series of videos of a conversation that took place between Bryan McDonald and myself, and filmed by Steve McNeary.
This is a commemorative plaque here from the Cape Breton Search and Rescue, and presented to you, Bryan, again. 40th anniversary for 30-year lifetime dedicated service in 2009.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Well, that was just like our 40th wedding anniversary. We call it our wedding anniversary, same as everybody else. Our club being the strongest, and we are also the first search team in North America who was registered. There was a few other ones out there, but they were not registered. We were the first group. Yeah, and this was our 40th anniversary.
And we have this here, this is just your certificate. I guess they issued here, and tell me, because this is Nova Scotia Search and Rescue Association, GSAR Search Qualifications. This particular certificate was issued in 2001, January 1st, and there's a bunch of stuff on the...
And all this training that's on the back, I had this before. The only one that was added to that was my search management. I was a probationary searcher. I became a searcher. I became a team captain. I was a radio operator. I was an operational chief. I was a logistics officer in the club. And now, the last and final, I became a search manager. This certificate means I can go anywhere in Canada and operate a search with different police agencies who require assistance. I can go in and take over the search and work with the police department because I'm a qualified search manager.
Of the people that are working in the club, working on searches with you, are they all trained?
Everybody is trained. Well, the techniques we use, and we always used only compasses up until about 8 years ago, and then we start using GPS systems and we start using computers.
It's wonderful. Technology is a wonderful thing. But
So if you're going in a particular area, how do you work? Do you work with maps? You talked about
topographical maps for the area. It takes 21 maps to cover Cape Breton Island.
Right.
Yeah, there's a procedure, and usually the procedure is we're told, like, if an area is only 1.5 miles long, we're told to stay in that compass bearing for that 1.5 miles.
Right.
Then we get up to the other road on the other side. We take about a 10-minute break. We all move down a 1/4 mile away from each other, and we come back on that back bearing all the way back up to the road where our cordon vans at and the police cars are. And they're all an arm length away from each other. Everybody's pretty well walking, kind of straight line through the whistle. There's no way you can miss anything. And it's just a matter of the last line moves to the front line when you swing around to come back on the other side. The only thing that's probably left unsearched is might be 10 feet, but you can't just crawl through, but you can still see.
Right.
You know, you'd see if it was a person laying there or anything. Right?
We'll go back to May of 1990, and you were called in for a particular search, referring to the Clayton Miller search,
Right.
of course.
Yes.
And tell me about how you get called in and what was the lead up to that?
Well, actually, it wasn't a call-in at the beginning. Mr. Langley, who is in the club, he was my mentor in the club. He called me on the phone, and he said, I received a phone call from the chief of police of Waterford, Crowe. He said, I have to go meet with him. He said, I never met him before, Bryan. You know him because you lived in the Waterford. You know who the chief is. He said, would you come with me and come down and introduce me to the chief? He wants to talk to me. I said, sure. So Larry picked me up, went down. When I went in to the police station, we met with the chief. First, we met with Bryan White, who was the deputy chief at that time. He is now deceased, and so is the chief. The both of them are deceased people. But we did meet with them, and we were just talking generalities. He was just more or less questioning our credentials. What we do when we're on a search, and do we know the difference between a lost person and a person that don't want to be found? We were kind of questioning that manner by them, right? Because we were still building rapport with a lot of the police departments, right? We got a call and said, we got to go to the Waterford, we got to do a search.
Right. This was May 5th?
Probably around May 5th or 6th. I don't have a record of that myself right now, but and at that time I was operational chief, and I was storing the van in my own property in my own yard. So we went there. We did have, I think we had roughly around 12 or 15 people came.
So you met at the Mayflower Mall?
No, I went over to pick up a couple of people, because a lot of people were working, and come back. We went out to the Waterford. I met Eric at there. He got in the van with me. He came out to Waterford with us. We met, and then there was a few people belonging to our club who lived in the Waterford who received a phone call, because we called phone call from our operating list for people that's the closest in the area. If they're home, could they come, right? So we did have other people come and set up a search. We set up a search there right behind where the home hardware store is at, and coming down into the Waterford off Ellsworth Avenue.
What was the name of the street?
It's Ellsworth Avenue, the main street,
Right.
but there's Current Street, and I think there's Ripley Street. There are two little side lanes that's there. When we first went down there, I parked the van on 2nd Street. Right by, there's a hairdressing shop there now. It's right on the corner of Ellsworth and 2nd Street. We did some there, we did some planning there, and we told the teams what we wanted them to do. So then we were kind of blocking the corner, so I backed it up, turned around, and went up Ellsworth Avenue, and I'm not sure if it was the first road I went in was Current Street I was on, or it was Ripley Street at the time. There are two dead-end streets. They just go in your dead end. You got to turn around back in somebody's driveway to drive. It's not even a cul-de-sac or anything. So that's where we left the van when we were doing the search, and we were asked just to walk up on both sides of the brook, make a hasty search. Our teams, guys were there, were told what they were asked to do. They went up, they followed the brook all the way up past where 12, goes up through 12 Colliery from 2nd Street. It swings around down past, comes up below Park Street, which comes down again off of First Street, and it comes down off of Wilson Avenue. It's the bottom end of Wilson Avenue. It's called Park Street, which we used to call at that time. It never had the name Park Street. We used to call it down the dam. That's where we just had, that was the name of each area at that time. That was called the dam. So, and that was the little pond I told you when we used to go swimming. We were kids down there, that little pond. We used to swim there on May 24th. But we had teams search all the way right up to the pond and around the pond on both sides.
And so how did that go? How was they able to do it? It's a small
Arm length from each other. And say it might be us three on the team on this side of the brook, and there might be 3 or 4 on that side. Well, you go just touch shoulders to each other, and we just walk side by side, and just walk. We're all walking on the same bearing and looking. And you do that as you go all the way up the brook, and then we told where you stop, and then you turn around and you come all the way back down on your back bearing, because we were asked to close search to the brook. So we didn't have to step aside to make the offset to come back, because it was so open there. It was an open field. You could see if there was somebody there. So and then just before the search was over, I mentioned to 2 or 3 of the team members that were on the one team, I said, before we call the search off, we should have a team go out across Ellsworth Avenue and search the bottom end of the brook. There's a little bit more alders and stuff there. So on both sides of the brook. So there was 4 guys went. They formed 2 main team. And they went down and they searched from Ellsworth Avenue on the low side of 2nd Street across from Ellsworth Avenue. They followed the brook all the way down until they come to the next brook blockade that was there, like a little bridging thing there. And then on the opposite side of that was all clear going down to other people's houses, so you would see if anybody was there. So even the lower side was searched. So we were probably there 3.5 to 4 hours from the time we got there until we left. It was probably around a little bit starting to get dark when the search was over for us.
Right. So what time were you arrived there? What time of day?
Well, I'd say it was probably 4:30, something like that, maybe 20 to 5. We got there, something like that.
And weather conditions?
Weather condition was kind of like a day like it is right here, right now. Kind of sunny, it wasn't really overcast, a little cloudy sky, but no, it was reasonable weather.
And the foliage on the trees?
No, there was just, summertime, summertime, like spring coming, and different willows growing and stuff like that along here and there in the odd tree and stuff like that. But no, it was all good weather, good walking,
Of course, of interest would be the brook itself.
Yes.
Make sure that somebody's not in the brook.
Right.
Would that be in the instructions as well to your searchers?
Oh, well, the brook was not that wide. If somebody, let's just say if there was an animal or a person laying in the brook, you would see them in the brook 25 feet before you would even get to them, because the brook was not that deep. There was 2 little puddle holes in it that probably made it rain 2.5 to 3 feet deep. But if there was even an animal in it that was deceased, it would be floating, you would see it, because it wouldn't stay down in that shallow of the water. It would drift to the shore side, right? Well, our guys were quite qualified in searching and finding things and identifying things, and if we did do that, it would be roped off, and the police would have been called immediately to have an officer come down to protect the area, because we always protected the area of the search when we find a deceased person. And we cordoned off probably around 40 feet each way around where the deceased person is found. And we tell the rest of the team member they found him. The only one that's allowed to do the work is the team captain. He goes and he marks it off, and he makes sure that his team, the rest of the team, guard the area, that don't allow anybody else, in case there's just people that's not belonging to the search come into the area. They watch for anybody who comes in to that area and keep them away until the police come.
confirm, there was no body found in that.
We did not see nothing. There was nothing there. And the next thing I know, when the search was over, it was in a day or a day and a half, it was in the paper that, I don't know, I can't say for sure if it was the police that said they found the body at the brook, but young Miller's body was found at the brook. And I said, I find that awful funny, I said to my wife, because how could he be there? We had a team there that searched. We didn't find the body. And that's all I know. That's all I can say, right?
But you're coming forward now, and it's obviously it's 2007.
Yeah, and I found this funny because from the meeting we had when we first met to chief of police and the deputy chief, when this happened, I thought this was already wrote down and it was recognized because the team was there, we did the search, so I thought we were doing the search for the police. I found it, I was upset because there's no way they were making us look like, hey, we're lying, like we just did a search there and there's no body, and all of a sudden the police officers who found it walks up, just gets out of their police car and oh, there's the body laying there. No, that don't happen like that. But I can't judge anybody. There's mistakes can be made by everybody. But to my knowledge, from us being there searching, nothing was found.
And so it just came to light recently that...
Yeah, it came to light that like, they said that they don't think even search and rescue was there. But we were there.
We'll go back to May of 1990, and you were called in for a particular search, and we're referring to the Clayton Miller search, of course.
Yes. Okay, this is coming from down from New Victoria.
Right.
This is what they call 12 hill corners, where the 12 line site was at. That's 12. Yeah. 12 there for you.
Yeah.
That's the 12 line site. You come down the road. This here one could be the way this is would be because it's such a large area taken. This could be First Street. This could be Second Street right here. This looks like Second Street right here. I think this would be Second. We're right there in the corner. And there's those two little roads. I think I was on this one. I think this one's called Ripley Street right here. Up in an R there. I think that's where we were at. Right?
And so maybe with the red, if you could kind of tell me, draw probably the areas where you would have started your search with an arrow going on.
The way to go? Yeah. It would start right here. All the way up on both sides.
Okay. And so you saw the brook there if you go.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
Right here. And I'll draw arrows all the way up for you.
Okay, that'd be good.
And right here, there's a bridge that goes across the brook here. We used to just call it the Brook Bridge. That was our shortcut when we used to go. I lived on 2nd Street all my life, and when I grew up there, we used to have to cross the bridge to cut up through 12 College to go to St. Agnes School. That was our shortcut to go to school. There's a little bridge right here at this area. I can put a B there so you know there's a little bridge across the brook. Okay, so then we carry on all the way up, past, all the way through. And the brook went like this, all the way and up, right up to and that's where we searched all the way up that on both sides. And I think this is the pond up here.
Yes, I'll put maybe a P by the pond where you used to swim.
Pond.
And did the search go up that far?
Yes, right up to and right around both sides of the pond. And there's a large embankment along there too.
Right.
Okay? That's where they used to dump some stone and everything there years ago, right?
Right.
And that area, down that area, people that lived in that area, the young people at the time, called that area the Nest. That's where they used to go parking with their girlfriends and everything.
Okay.
So that's just a nickname they had on the area, but everybody who were young fellas going with their girlfriends, that's where they used to go park. It was down the Nest, right? So was all off through this way, up through.
Okay, and then you described you're going in one direction, and when you're finished, you turn?
Yeah, so that's teams on both sides going up, so because they searched really close to the brook, they would turn around and stay, one team member would stay right by the brook, walking the whole edge of the brook, all the way down on both sides of the brook, and the other members would be shoulder length away from them, coming all the way back in. So it was kind of open, you would see somebody if it was laying 20 feet away from you, or something right at the edge of the brook.
Right. And if they had a red sweater on,
A red sweater, you see that way off, way up in the field, like along the brook, right? You know, like our searchers are good people, and I would not say this if this wasn't true. I would not make this up. This is as true as can be. We were there. Don't know what happened. We didn't find anything. I just hope that this works out for the family members. It was only recently that when I received a phone call from you that they said they wanted to know if we were there because there was no mention of search and rescue being called in. And when I said, well, when I talked to you, I said, right, we were there. So, wherever the records are gone from that or not, I don't know.
you would have made a record of that.
There was records made of the search. And our head coordinator, Mr. Langley, used to write all the records. They were in a green book. It was kind of an accountant's book. We used to put all the recording records in there, but each search would have a number and the name of the person that was lost would be used. And how many searchers, would show how many searchers were there. And if the search was successful or unsuccessful, or whatever, or the person was deceased, that would be marked in the areas reports, right? That's the way they always kept records. Each team had kept their own records, right?
And you would have made a record that night of...
if there was something found, yes. And even if there's nothing found, we just would write in, search over, it's incomplete, nothing was found, right?
And so that's all that would be...
Yeah, it'd be nothing major, and it just, we searched the area, nothing was found.
So this is the this is the copy of the map that Bryan McDonald completed. You see this red markings here and the black markings on the other side of the road, starting from here, going down, and that's going in the north direction. Remember, he said that he had a few for individuals that he decided to search the bottom end, and the ocean would be along down here. So this is where they started in 2nd Street. This is the Ripley Road where he parked his van, as best as he can recall. And this is the direction of the brook with the instructions to follow the brook. This is the culvert right here that's often spoken of. Embankment along here, another embankment there. And this is the general area here where Clayton's body was found on Sunday, May 6, 1990.
Number 3, and purported, and this looks familiar too, there's the culvert there.
Yeah, there's the brook coming down here.
Right.
All down through here, see? All down through this area.
And the vegetation you see here is not the vegetation on that particular day.
No.
Significant.
It was more open because it was more springtime.
Right.
It wasn't so fully leaved. It was just, the leaves were just open, starting, the buds were opening up. There was some pussy willows growing. And same as every day, kind of around,
So, Clayton was purported to be found on Sunday, the day after your search, in this particular area here, face down, wearing a red sweater.
Yeah.
And there's some discrepancy between some of the official reports as to how far down.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, going down this way.
Okay, well, our guys, when we searched all this area, our guys even come up, went across here, went around this pond, here like that, and came back around.
Right.
And come back down, and then when they got there, they called in, said they couldn't find nothing. We said, okay, let's go back down, stay close. One guy on each side of the brook, stay close again, spread out. Do a full pane search all the way back down both sides of the brook. So when they did that, we didn't find nothing, so then I said to one team member, he had 4 guys on his team, I'm pretty sure.
Let's use the black just for the second trip that you
Okay.
took here.
So I said, okay, we did all that up that way, there's nothing, so we should have the brook searched on this side of the brook. So we came across,
That would be on a kind of northerly direction?
that's going towards the ocean,
Yeah.
okay? So if you looked at this is the top of the map, that's north, so you'd be going on a northeasterly direction, heading back down towards the ocean, because this is north, south, east, and west, right? So you're going probably on a northeasterly direction, kind of going down the brook. So our guys went all the way down the brook this way, and they went down that way, down right almost straight to there where then it was all open. You could see if there's anything there before. It was just trickled into a little brook before it went down over the bank into the ocean, right?
And again, nothing.
Nothing.
The last one is one here, and this is, maybe Steve, you can come over for a moment and explain the writing of where this is from. I believe this is from the CERT.
This photograph was taken by the RCMP in June of 1990. Same date the other one that you just saw was taken. Number 3. And these are both photos that were used at the inquiry back in the day.
And that there was all searched by our team, all the way right up to here, then went across there, went around this pond like that, and come back down on this side of the brook again, and all the way back down.
Would you consider throwing that with your red marker for us, Mr. McDonald?
All the way?
Yeah, sure.
I'll just fall to the brook like that, just to show you. This was all searched, then our team went up, and went up across the road, and went up around, and went across, all around, well, I can't see the pond there, that looks like it there.
You can see it a little better in this one possibly.
Yeah, so it's kind of, it kind of starts right around here, that's where it comes through here, this is kind of a pond like this, all the way around like that. They went up around, come all the way back down around, back down, they come down, and they come back all the way down, all the way, and they were like spread out like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up and all the way back. So
Impossible to miss.
impossible to miss a body. That's all I can tell you. I can only tell you the truth. I can't add nothing to it. I'm not blaming anybody for wrongdoings. I can only tell you the truth, what I know.
You just know about the search.
Yeah, that's all I know about.
Well, that's fantastic, and everything you've told us today is from the best of your memory.
Yes, sir.
On your honest belief.
Yeah, my honest belief and my truthful belief.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
No problem, Rick. And I hope it helps you in some way in your investigation. I was really surprised because I was thought they knew that we were there. And I was shocked when I found out when you called me, said, well, were those guys ever there? You know, and I said, oh yeah, we were there. Well, we can't find reports on it. Well,
So here's the slide that Bryan marked upon, again, showing the brook and the culvert area. This is where the fire was alleged to have been over here. 4 police and 2 police that came in on Friday night. There's a little turn in the brook there. This is generally the area. There's some controversy precisely where the body was found, but it was found in this general area here, which was clearly in the scope of the observation that was made by the search and rescue individuals. And that's just a continuation of the similar one that again Bryan marked on, indicating the area here, in this area here, there's some controversy about here or here, some about the distances, whether they're 181 feet or 350 feet, but nevertheless it's all within the scope of search. So a list of names and phone numbers of members of some of the Cape Breton Search and Rescue was obtained from the Cape Breton Regional Police file on Clayton Miller. We managed to secure a copy of that. We have attempted to contact members of the Cape Breton Search and Rescue who may have been on the search on Saturday, May 5th. Given the passage of 27 years, unfortunately, since the search, many individuals are now deceased. 3 individuals, we were able to discern this, and I'll explain why we are here. 3 individuals involved in Cape Breton Search and Rescue at the time, but not called on that particular search, recall discussions. And to understand the discussions that they're having, every Tuesday night, Cape Breton Search and Rescue would meet, and they would discuss their activities and what's ongoing, training, etc., and the searches that they undertook. And they called this a gab fest between members of Wednesday evening meeting after Clayton's body was discovered. Members discussed that the body had not been found on Sunday had been found Sunday in the exact area where the search had taken place Saturday afternoon, where no body was found. There is also third-party evidence from a relative of a member of the Cape Breton Search and Rescue who told this third party he was involved in the search for Clayton Miller on Saturday, May 5th, 1990. We have attempted to contact that individual who has not returned our call. And so, before we go to the penultimate question, the reason that we're here today is that unfortunately Bryan McDonald is quite ill. And so he would appreciate, and his family would, that media not try to contact him directly. It's important that his story get out. We would have liked to have had more search and rescue individuals here, but certainly the cooperative evidence that we see is the gap fest, and what we hear is third-party evidence. We're here to tell you the facts as we know them, so we're not going to get into third-party evidence or hearsay. So at the end of the day, we have all these witnesses, eyewitnesses, and Sheila, who's had taken the time to drive all the way from Waterford today to be with us, to verify her statement. Others that have given statements that we have videotaped. They would have loved to have been here today, but they had commitments in other places and they could not be here, primarily because of work. We have a search and rescue now that is added to that body of evidence that has to ask a very, very important question. And the question is, where was Clayton Miller on May 5th, 1990? Because we know that he deceased on May 4th in the late evening or early morning hours on May 5th. And he was found around noontime at 1 o'clock on May 6th. So where was Clayton Miller's body between those times? It's very difficult to prove the negative that it wasn't there. It's very easy to say I saw something and it was there. That's affirmative and positive evidence. So we've gone through great lengths to show a negative, that his body was not there. So this is the first in a series of presentations that we are planning that seek to reveal the truth as we see it. We know others have different explanations, and we respect their explanations. We're not here to criticize those explanations. We're here to tell you the information that we know, the facts, and let you make a judgment as to what took place. So this is a series of, we plan 3 over the next several months. And we have individuals, and we encourage individuals to come forward privately or publicly to disclose any information they may have about the circumstances surrounding Clayton Miller's death. And no information is a small piece of information. It's all part of the bigger story. And it's an important story that we know it all. The family has gone through 27 years at their own expense, their own time, very emotional journey, up and down. Many stairs up, a lot of stairs down. But now we seem to be climbing a little bit higher than we've ever been in uncovering the truth. You will see over to the table, over to my right, your left, a series of books. This is the work that we have been doing in the background to unveil the inconsistencies in a narrative that we feel is not accurate. And we respectfully stand here with these questions, and we need answers to these questions. The family needs the answers to the questions. Clayton's dignity needs answers to these questions. So Kate and I will answer some questions now. It's an emotional time for Jerry and Maureen. They'll take some questions maybe after, or we can break off if you wish. But if you have any particular questions you wish to ask now, Kate or I will answer them.
Can you tell me how significant this Mr. McDonald is to this case?
Well, Mr. McDonald's, he spoke very forthright. He's a deacon in the Catholic Church. He's spoken. I didn't see anything in terms of inconsistencies in his story. It's a very important piece because if Clayton's body wasn't there, obviously he's deceased. He can't put himself there. So somebody else has to be involved in the moving of the body. And those are the questions that we need answers for. We're not here to speculate how that happened. We're going to go through our additional presentations. We'll address some of these issues and raise some serious questions about who may be involved.
So the BSN has the interview Bryan McDonald in this interview by CERT.
I'm not aware if he was interviewed by CERT. My understanding is that there was no evidence in the investigative reports with respect to search and rescue. But I'm not here to speak on behalf of CERT or any other investigative body. We're just here to tell you what we know. This statement would have been done, I think, probably 2 months ago now, maybe a little bit longer. The reason that we didn't bring it forward sooner is because we were doing our best to look behind the scenes to get additional support for what Bryan McDonald in great detail has explained to us today.
You have not been able to, as yet, find any other searches to corroborate his story?
We only have one that has been identified as has told a significant other that is close to them that he was involved in the search, but he refuses or hasn't. I shouldn't say refuses, but rather he has not returned our multiple attempts to reach out to him. We've tried other names. Unfortunately, a number of individuals are deceased. We continue to do so. That'll take some more time. Unfortunately, Bryan, due to medical reasons, does not have a lot of time. So it's important that a story get out. He be available for anybody that in the official doom that wishes to contact him and discuss him fine. Unfortunately, due to his medical condition, it would be difficult for media to contact him. The family wishes to respect that at this time.
What do you hope to get out of this at the end of the day?
Well, it's all about the truth. It's all about coming to the truth. You know, I have a young family too. My family's a little older now, but very young. I remember them in the teens. I know that sometimes they got in a little bit of trouble. It probably wasn't bad trouble. So I can appreciate it, and I can understand that, you know, if my son or daughter had died, and it was the story was that it was an alcoholic misadventure, but I didn't believe that story, and I had some evidence to support that I would go through a great lengths to come up and to try to find the truth, because really you can never bury Clayton until we know the truth, and that family can't do it, and we'll never be able to do it until that is exposed. So we're on a journey 27 years later, continuing to do hard labor, and I did a lot of volunteers and people doing work to help the family out, and a lot of great supporters here that without them, the family would feel isolated, and they do feel supported. So it is a journey that we have to take. I understand and I appreciate it, and I would do it for my family, and I hope to do what we can, and we have limited resources. This is not our scope of practice. We're not investigators. We're just civil lawyers, and we don't do this stuff. But I was compelled, after a second request from Maureen, and hearing the story and knowing it, and being a Cape Bretoner myself, and knowing Waterford, I grew up in Coxie, that I felt an attachment to do what we can. So we're working pro bono to try to do what we can to reveal the truth for the family so that they can finally bury Clayton.
Did Mr. McDonald give any indication as to why he didn't come forward on his own accord 20 years ago? And this seems to be key information, as you say, that he's saying a number of people searched that area and that body wasn't there on Saturday. So why didn't he come forward?
So his explanation was embedded in part of the video, and what he had stated, and he was firm in this, is that he thought it was part of the investigation. It wasn't until very recently, and I think it was the son, and they indicated, they at least reached out to Maureen, saying that he was involved in the search, and it became clear that for some reason, he wasn't asked, or for some reason, the search and rescue was not part of any investigation. I can't say that for sure because I don't know the full scope of the investigations that took place and what was considered. But certainly there's no evidence, and we tried to FOIA pop all the information with respect to search and rescue, and there's no indication that that information was available at the time when it was pertinent and important to be considered. And so when he found out, it became clear to him that it wasn't part. He was upset about that, and he expressed that in his video. And that's when he came forward through his son to Maureen. I called him, not Maureen, and that's as you saw in the video. He was surprised that it wasn't part.
Can we just have an idea of where it's going? Because of all of where you trying to get an inquiry or are you going to court with that? Where's the story taking you?
Yeah, so, we know that as investigators at various levels have done work. Some of them we question, and some of them we think that they've made an honest and a professional effort to do what they have done, and that's fine. The problem with this case, 27 years and so much water has been under the bridge, there really is no confidence in the family that somebody within Nova Scotia can actually look and consider all the evidence, including the evidence that we brought here today. There has been also some communications that we have that we're hopeful that we're going to get some new, very informative information. We're following up with that as well. But I think that at the end of the day, a full investigation about somebody who was not connected in any way, shape, or form to Nova Scotia to come in, who can give us their CV, we can look at it, we can meet with them, and the family can have and develop some confidence. And that is very important, I think, at the outcome, for an outcome to be accepted by the family, is that somebody who is totally independent, has no connection with Nova Scotia whatsoever. The tentacles in New Waterford go very deep and very long. It's a small community, and Nova Scotia is a small province.
I wonder, could we ask Sheila McLean some question?
She may answer them. Sheila's has a cold, and so she's a little under the weather right now.
I just wondered if the authorities had ever...
I spoke to authorities over the years.
I'm sorry?
I spoke to different authorities over the years.
And you told them what you saw on Saturday?
Yeah. And there was one particular officer that I spoke to, and he asked me, as I was in the back of his police car, if I would testify to what I told him of what I know and actually put somebody in jail. I said, buddy, I'm not putting anybody in jail. I'm not pointing a finger. I'm just saying that Clayton wasn't there Saturday, but he was there Sunday, and the dead don't walk.
And that was a New Waterford police officer that you spoke to?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say his name, but he wasn't a New Waterford police officer.
The inference over the years has been that there was a problem with the Waterford police force, dealing specifically with this case. Can you address that?
Well, that obviously has been in the news over time. What our approach and the way we've been taking ever since our involvement with the Miller family is that we're simply, all we're drilling down to is the facts as they appear to us from people who have first-hand knowledge. We're getting rid of all hearsay or second-hand knowledge, just the facts from the people that had that witnessed various aspects of what had transpired. And we want to share that with the public, and that it has been a very public issue. So we're not here today. We've given some facts that we're going to go through in our other press conferences. We're going to address some of the massive material that we have here and focus on different questions. And it's going to be for the public to judge. So we're not, despite what was said in the past, we're not here saying that so-and-so is responsible, or some department or agency. It's really for others to judge that, and the public can make their own conclusions.
After 27 years, though, have you approached any of the police officers to see if they're involved in something that maybe their conscience might be bothering them, that might change their story?
We have.
Yeah.
We get a letter from their lawyer saying they're not going to talk to us.
Yeah. Just on a related matter, the Nova Scotia Health Authority earlier, because of it last year, in regards to the request for the blocks with samples of Clayton's tissues and the X-rays that were purportedly at the Nova Scotia Health Authority. Is there any movement on that? Have you received any of that?
Yeah, so we're continuing to follow up on those issues. That'll likely, Marilyn, be part of our second we're in position to give that evidence. We'll be dealing with the issues related to the forensic evidence and unfortunately the disappearance of some critical evidence. We'll address those in our next press conference. Well, thank you everybody. Maureen and Jervy are going to be available if you want to chat with them. Sheila's here, and of course Kate and I if you wish. Thank you very much for everybody and your attention today.